Dun, dun, dun. Hello.
Hello.
I actually scheduled it for 8:45. So, Robert left.
Oh, the stupid thing.
So that we would have time to get all the bugs worked out before it was time to go live. So, anyway, hello, everybody. We actually have a topic tonight. If you want to know what it is, you should have read the live stream. It's the lessons learned from or learned and changes something or other. I can't remember now. It was a really good title. I thought I put a lot of thought in that. So anyway, hey, Vision Quest. Let's see who we got over here in the chat. Oh, we got a lot of early birds. We got
don't we?
Baldwin. Please tell me that not being used. What? What are we talking about? Anyway, well, we got Clifford, Old Spice, Rob Painless, O-Man, Chipper, Aiden O'Near, O-Man, Trey Ezel, Rachel Knight, Mrs. West, Chipper, I think I already said Chipper. The Ungrateful Peasant is here. Vision Quest.
Trying to type everybody's name in. I'll probably miss somebody.
Carol. And if I missed you, it's not my fault. Anna Lee Brown.
Is Anna Lee here?
Yeah, I knew that.
Hey, do we need to put up some? If Anna Lee's here, do we need to set up some rules right now?
Yes.
Oh,
okay. That's fine, Anna. I ordered some sock puppet patterns today.
No, do not.
Anyhow, we're going to deliberately try to stay on topic tonight, and it's not because I'm not putting out a challenge to everybody in the chat to derail us either. Over 20 people died just in the state of Texas because of this winter storm. One of those was an 11-year-old child. He froze to death in his own bed because they turned the electricity off to his house. That shouldn't have happened. This is 2021. An elderly couple froze to death sitting side by side in their recliners because they turned the electricity off to their house. That should not have happened. This is
that in this day and time, that's absolutely unacceptable.
I still hadn't figured out how an 11-year-old boy freezes to death in his own bed.
I hadn't either.
It happened. It's in the news. There it is. And that's just Texas. All total, it's like 60 people so far. And they're not through finding them. So, had we probably wouldn't have died, but we would have had a really crappy 3 days. We made it okay the first 2 days. A lot of people don't realize this storm lasted a really long time.
Yeah, it was just over a week from start to finish.
I put out that one little short video about enough's enough or whatever, and that was just like the start. I didn't realize it was going to be that, me running my head or whatever. And, oh, really? Enough's enough? No, here, hold my beer and watch this. But anyway, we're going to try to go over some of the things. Me and Rob are going to try to go over some of the things that we learned about.
Anna, see you back in a little bit, we hope. He has to go make a cooler of sandwiches because that's what good women do.
Yep. Hey, Tibor, Rick Holloway,
Tibor,
Ricky Watchdog. And I'll try to catch up on everybody when I get through doing this whole big, long, drawn out doomer porn intro.
but it is important. This is, Wes and I tried to talk about this the other night, and we got sidetracked by the side chat, and it was hilarious and it was fun, but we didn't do justice to the subject like we had hoped.
And we really didn't. So we're Rob, I know you made out okay up there because things held together better for your part of the world, evidently, than mine. But yay, co-op. Anyway, what are some of the things that you learned from that you could do better? I guess is the right way to put it.
I actually made a list here. I'm a professional. I write on the back of envelopes. We, like Wes said, we did okay up here. We did not have any catastrophic failures of any kind. Our power never went off. Our natural gas never went off. None of our water pipes froze. I can't take credit for the power not going off or the gas not going off, but I can take credit for having things in place to keep my water from freezing. We've been through some cold spells up here before. It was back in 2011, I think it was. We got down well below zero for a couple of nights and a couple of days. I remember one day in particular, the high temperature was 9 degrees. And I remember that because I was up on the top of a 250-foot grain elevator working that day in a 30-mile-an-hour wind. And it was as cold as anything I've ever done. We literally could only work for about 5 minutes before we had to, go back down inside and get out of the wind and sort of warm up for a little bit. But any of the lessons I really learned this year were at the expense of other people. And it was just kind of a reminder that if things had gone bad, I would have had stuff I had to deal with. One of the things I needed to make sure I did was have more firewood already cut up and ready to go. Now we did, and we probably would have had enough, but we did not burn a fire as much as we could have because of the likelihood of losing electricity. So I wanted to make sure I kept all my firewood. I used what was available higher up the food chain, if you want to do that. Natural gas didn't get turned off and electricity didn't get turned off, so that's what I heated with, just to make sure we had plenty of firewood. I would have figured out a way, hopefully we'll figure out a way to insulate some of my water storage better. Wes mentioned that he had a couple of his water storage barrels that didn't do good from freezing solid. I checked mine today because you mentioned that, and mine are all okay. But our big tank right there behind the house, the water in the middle of it was probably usable, but I would have had to open that little man entry up and chip down through there to get to the liquid water past the ice. I didn't try it, but I'm guessing. And then, of course, if the power would have gone off, I don't have any solar stuff. Me, the electrician, and I don't have any solar stuff ready to go to keep refrigerators running.
Yeah, all the stuff in my freezer thawed out. Sucks. I'm lying. I don't think the freezer in the back's kicked back on yet. But yeah, the wood, you're talking about more wood cut up, definitely.
Yep.
And there's a rule when you're camping in the winter or whatever, when you are surviving or whatever, you collect the firewood until you think you've got enough for the night, and then you go get that much again.
Yeah, that's right.
I had enough. I had more firewood cut than I had in the house, but it wasn't in the house. So when it as the pile dwindled and dwindled and dwindled,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff that I had to replace it. And I'm having to go out in this 10-degree weather with a 20-mile-per-hour wind blowing up my skirt and, move snow and dig through the soaking wet pile of wood to try to get the drier stuff. And then I'm
Yep.
bringing in, you got to build a fire. You got to stack wet wood on top of the stove to dry it out so you can burn it. And you've got to stack your wet wood around. It was just, I didn't bring it, and I had room in the house for more wood. I just didn't put it in there. It's dumb.
Yep. I filled up our wood box and I stacked a pile on the porch, but I didn't cover up the pile on the porch well enough. Oddly enough, I forgot that the wind was going to blow that snow, and it came straight out of the east, which is the open direction on our porch, and it pretty much packed snow in around all that firewood. Now, it wouldn't have been bad. I could have brought it in and it would have dried out well enough. But that's another thing. One of those lessons I forgot. For everybody that doesn't know it, I lived up in the high mountains of Colorado, literally over 10,000 feet for close to 20 years up there. And you learn a lot of lessons at that height because you get about 8 months of winter up that high. And one of the things I knew and was lax on is I didn't cover up my firewood to keep the snow off of it. And I know better. I got lucky and it wasn't a problem this time.
I had a tarp in the back of my truck that I bought to do that with.
Well, that's good.
It was frozen in place. I got it out today. I've got all the soaking wet wood laid out, drying out. We're not expecting any more really cold weather for another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
My fire would, every dry piece of firewood I could find is in the house. All the questionably damp firewood I could find is in the house.
Yep.
Firewood that I cut that's not anywhere close to seasoned is in the house. Because, well, yeah. Not procrastinating. As soon as the weather permits, we're getting a new well house. And,
cool.
Hey, Adam. It's going to cost me $700 to build that freaking well house. But that well house is not going to freeze.
Yeah.
The end. The one water faucet that always freezes and cuts the water off to my house, well, not always, but is the one that invariably freezes. And anyway, it is going to be replaced with one of those high-dollar frost-proof thingamajiggers. It just makes sense. I don't like those things, but I'd rather deal with them than deal with the frozen pipes. So, my barrels, my water barrels, the ones that didn't rupture, I think I lost, not 100% sure. I know I lost 2. I think I may have lost 3. All of those had the same thing in common. I didn't have enough headroom in them. There was no place for the water to go. The one of them that ruptured.
Were they not open at the top?
They could vent at the top, but it couldn't gush water because it froze from the outside in. So the water wasn't going to escape. Right. The one, it popped the bottom off of it. The other one, it split it right down the side. And the other one, I think the one that I don't know, I haven't flipped it over because it's heavy, but I think it split across the bottom.
Were they plastic or metal barrels?
They were the plastic. They were the ones you get from the soda factory,
Uh-huh.
the 33-gallon deals or whatever they are. Food grade white plastic barrels.
Yeah, after you said that, I got nervous. You know what? I haven't checked the ones out front here because I don't have the tops cut out of two of those, so I might want to look at them.
And see, that's the deal. I have, my deal is, I have them on the sunny side, which doesn't make a damn bit of difference if it's, apparently doesn't make any difference if it's 10 degrees outside.
Right.
But, I keep they get full, and I put the damn plug back in it, whatever it's called. I don't think if she's back in there, I'm not sure I want to call what its name is. But anyway, I'm actually trying to drink out of my coffee cup backwards to prevent anybody from seeing what's on this side. It's a rooster, so there.
Tibor mentioned something here that's kind of funny. Tibor said, first thing to do is get the garden hoses off and wrap the outside faucets. Tibor, that's funny you said that because that we've had several, freezing nights before, but right before we knew it was really fixing to have the bottom drop out of the temperature, I went out and checked, make sure my faucets were wrapped. I knew they weren't. My back faucet in the back of the house, I saw it still had a hose on it, and I thought, oh, good grief, I got to get that off of there. And so I got a pair of channel locks and went to take that hose off. And as I did, I noticed water dripping out of the side of the faucet. I thought, uh-oh, that thing's already frozen. And it wasn't bad cold yet, but it was about to get dark. And so I looked, and there was a crack on it, and I thought, all right. So I went and turned the water off. And by the time I got the hose off the faucet, the whole faucet fell in half. It was that bad rusted. And I spent the next hour and a half trying to figure out the best way. Fortunately, I wound up being able to get the threaded fitting off. It was just half-inch copper coming out of the side of the house threaded to a male adapter, and it didn't want to turn. And that copper's not real strong, so I was worried about busting it or twisting it. So I tried to heat it and boiled water because there was so much gunk built up in the half of the faucet that was still left. Anyway, it was an ordeal. But yeah, you're exactly right. That's, a short story long right there.
Yeah, I'm not done fixing the plumbing. The little 1/4 inch, is it quarter inch that comes up to the pressure switch?
Maybe your 3/8. I don't remember.
1/4, 3, whatever it is. It got a flipping little. It didn't bust out. It's just a seep, but it won't make it again. So
Reese over at Reese's house, his water shut off, and he thought he was fixing to have a really bad weekend because his wife wasn't very happy with him. And I mentioned that to him. I said, you might go, because he had everything wrapped, but he had no pressure. I said, you might go check that little line that comes up to the pressure switch. And that's what it turned out to be. So he got it going real easy, and his wife was a happy girl again.
Yeah, the plumbing in the well house was actually pretty simple. It blew a thread to slip coupler out right there where it goes to the metal pipe. And I was able to, it was an easy fix, but then, that was just the first of a few. So, and I don't have it all fixed. I don't have water running to my bathroom sink right now. The only thing I could do about that was go under there, cut the lines and put shut-off valves and shark tooth shut-off valves on there. Mm-hmm. But there's water everywhere else now. So, in case y'all wondering, like I took a shower, why I look like I just took a shower, because I didn't wait for Saturday night. I went ahead and did it in Saturday afternoon because I was crawling around in questionably disgusting mud.
I bet there wasn't much question about it.
No, not really, because that last time I had to dig that hole out and fix something, there was a backup of sewage there.
Yeah.
I love plumbing. Plumbing's like the best thing ever.
Oh, I hate
Yeah.
plumbing. Oh
If I
my
could
God.
do nothing but plumbing, I would be so happy. Not really. Anyway, anything. Let's see. Wood. There's no such thing as having enough wood. It doesn't do any good to cut it and then stack it out in the freezing rain. We know that. We are getting solar. We're getting solar and we're getting batteries. Dr. Bob Hansler, he never went without his heater. He had propane and 12-volt furnace system, and they just turned the thermostat on, and because he had a solar system and everything, he didn't freeze. Everything else did.
Come say hi.
Hi, is that my ice cream? Go get my ice cream.
He said,
He said, "Is that my ice cream?"
Looks like my ice cream.
Yes. She assures you it's not.
Oh. What flavor are we eating?
I think it's salted caramel.
Oh, that is my ice cream. That stuff's so good. Anyway, hey, we got some new people in here. Who we got? Who showed up? Duncan. Of course, I just seen him sneak in.
Yeah.
Keith. Did we say hey to T-Boy yet?
Yeah, we talked about him.
Adam. And if I missed you, I'm sorry. We're not trying to do Trey's in here. Yankee Watchdog. 19 Privateer. Anyway, trying to be a better YouTube host. But yeah, the water catchment, it doesn't do any good to have it if you can't keep it safe. I regret not having dug, like how you got the one in your back, how you've got it partially buried.
Yep.
I wish I'd have done that to mine. Mine was frozen all the way to the bottom. I couldn't have got water out that if I had it to. Because
For everybody that doesn't know, I've got a. Sorry,
okay.
we've got a little bit of a lag here. That's going to happen some. I was going to say, for everybody that doesn't know, right behind my house, I mean, literally about 4 feet out the back door, I've got a 2,500 gallon poly tank that is dug into the ground about 3 feet ish, and so that helps keep it from freezing. But when it gets down to 10 below zero, you're going to get some ice.
Yep. I'm gonna have to come raid your liquor cabinet.
Come on. Oh, you're gonna like going over to West. Oh, West.
Can I bring a suitcase?
But you can bring a thirst.
The
Reese
thirst?
and I have, yeah. You're gonna like the Dart Lounge.
Yep. I like. They all high scale. They drink all this fancy liquor. I just drink cheap whiskey.
We got some of that too. So
Cheers,
you'll be
Pop.
okay.
I ran out of freaking tequila, man.
Mm-hmm.
My life sucks right now. But anyway, hey Sid's dad. I'm trying to the whole procrastination thing. I knew I needed a new well house this spring. The spring of 2020. I knew I needed a well house. Why don't I have a new well house? Because I kept saying I will get to it next. I knew I was going to go get. They had all them. The free. What do you call it when you run it through the shredder or whatever? The wood chips. They've got. They're free.
Okay.
They're 500 yards from my flipping house.
Oh, that's
Drive
sure.
over there and get it and bring it back. I was going to cover my backyard with that stuff to, because it'll break down. And then if I want to do something with it, then it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's ground warm. I was going to do that this winter or this last summer to keep the ground warmer this winter because I was worried about a colder winter.
Yep.
Didn't do it. I can run through all the things that I said I was going to do this past summer. I got a lot of things done. But man, I backburnered so much. And anybody that says they don't backburner anything, slap yourself in the mouth with a chocolate. Chocolate? What is that, a sandal? Because you know you're lying. Maybe grandma are the trouble. Thank you, Adam. Another cup of coffee. Adam's
Hey, I want
from
to mention
Japan or something.
Ted mentioned a while ago about putting compost around the water tank to keep it from freezing up, and that would work. But Ted, the thing is like for mine anyway, I've still got another 5 feet of it sticking out of the ground. So that would take a lot of compost, and the way the wind blows around here, it would dry out and it wouldn't work. It would insulate a little bit, but that's about it.
I'm smart. I got that black tank so that the sun will keep it warm. And then I'll put it in the corner of the house where the sun don't never shine. I don't want to drain that tank and move it, but I may have to. It's full, dude. I kept saying I'll never catch enough water around here to fill that thing up. 3 rains. If I had 4 more of those tanks, well, 3. If I had 3 more, wait, forgot I got another building. But anyway, roofs catch a lot of water, people.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, man.
Water falls in a 1/4 inch rain. If you've got it guttered and into a tank, boom. I've got 1,300 gallons of water back there. Well, I've got 1,300 gallons of ice back there. It's still solid as a rock, man. You can actually buy a deal that you drop in there and it's some kind of induction thing. Anyway, it'll keep it thawed out.
Yeah.
I got one. Got it at Tractor Supply. It was like $45. I just didn't. It was for the fish, and that's another thing. Get a if you have fish. This is something that we know now, but it's too late. When the power goes out, your oxygenator no longer works. So just because you have a high dollar oxygenator and it can supply enough oxygen for 3 large fish in your tank, it takes no time for them to run out of oxygen and die when they turn the power off.
Yeah. Yeah, Yankee Watchdog, I'm a trip to Alaska. I'm up for that. Go down in May and go salmon fishing. We'll go to Bent's place. Yeah, he I guess Bent was saying he had a place up there in Alaska. Go camp on his land. I know how to get there, Wes. I know almost exactly where Bent's place is.
Really? Well, the only problem with going to Alaska is you got to go through Canada. And
you don't have to.
Well, we could take the ferry.
We could take the ferry, except good grief, I looked at the price of that, and plus they don't have anything open forever. Holy cow, it's expensive. I had no idea.
Well, you can fly to Alaska.
You can, but driving's more fun, and you just can't take pistols anymore, I guess. I think you can still take long guns, but I'm not sure.
You can fly. There's just a bunch of rules you got to do to put them on the plane.
No, that's true. You can fly but I'd rather get up there and have a vehicle, though. We're driving.
We got to get my what do you call it? That passport thingy. So, which I need
Oh,
anyway.
that's right. We do have to have a passport now, don't we? When Christy and I,
Go through
when
Canada.
Happy,
We're not allowed to go through Canada.
yeah, when Happy Hair and I went, all we had to have was our driver's license. We didn't have to have a passport.
See, you used to be able to get into Canada with a driver's license, and I think you had to have like
In
20.
Mexico.
But now you got to
Have what?
have. You had to have like $20. You had to have cash. You had to prove that you weren't indigent to
Gotcha.
cross. I did stand at the Canadian border and throw rocks across it, just because. I was trying to see a Sasquatch.
Chipper, I wondered about that. Yeah, Chipper says that we're going to have to be vaccinated to go into Canada now. That may be a real thing, vaccinated to go just about anywhere. Good grief, that's going to put me in a sour mood.
That's going to put me not going anywhere because you're not putting a dead baby in my body. I'm not.
Yeah.
I would rather die
whatever it is.
Than. I mean, it's the stem cells and stuff they used to make that came from an aborted fetus. The end. That's it. There's no other way to put it. That vaccine would not exist without the death of a human being. So, you can justify it with science all you want to. I don't care. But anyway, back on to something else.
Hey, speaking of the devil, Bent, how are you, my friend?
Now we'd go to Bent's house and cut down all the burnt trees or whatever. Help him plant.
That might take a while.
What else did we learn? We learned about water. That shit freezes. You can't put stuff off.
Talking to my friend from Michigan today, lives up out north of Detroit. He and I visited, and I realized one of the things I learned, there's a couple of things it's hard for me to believe. You see the, I don't know what you call it, the news, the reports, whatever, the statistics, that most people have less than $500 worth of savings, in money or in their bank or whatever else. That's hard for me to believe. The other thing is, it's hard for me to believe that so many people only had 1 or 2 days worth of food in their house. In this day and age, with this past year that we just went through, just having gone through lots of grocery shelf shortages and empty spaces. And did you see the pictures of the lines at some of the stores in Austin, in San Antonio, in Houston? I mean, in the weather that was too cold to even be out in, lines that were easily half a mile long waiting to get in the store to find nothing when they got in there.
Yeah.
And now my video locked up. What the heck here?
It's locking and unlocking. It's just the internet is been crap for a while. We're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I bet I can turn a couple of things off here.
It amazes me how many people are still on condition white. And they'll after this, they'll go right back to condition white.
Yeah.
They'll think, oh well, we made it through that.
Yeah, that is not going to happen again. So, I don't get that, Wes. I mean, ever since I was out of high school, first time living on my own, I always had more than 2 days worth of food. I mean, I guess I just don't like being hungry. I don't know.
That's the thing. Most of these people ain't never been hungry. I mean, what's the longest you've ever gone? And not because you were doing intermittent fasting or something. What's the longest you've ever gone without having food past your lips?
when I was in college and didn't have any money, my car broke down in the town where I was going to college, and I got stranded there for about 3 days. And I ate once during those 3 days, and maybe that's where I learned it. I don't know.
That'll do it. Mine was 76 hours. Went 76 hours without a bite of food.
Yeah.
Didn't have enough water either, by the way. I was drinking out of the bar ditch.
Right.
And until that
and you know,
day,
76.
until those 76 hours was over with, I did not like, you couldn't get me to eat onion on a burger. You couldn't get me to eat onion with my beans. You couldn't, I wasn't going to eat onion. And now you cannot stop me. Those are the best tasting thing I've ever had in my life. I've never had anything that tasted as good as an onion.
And isn't that funny, Wes? 76 hours is not that long of a time until you do it, and because you didn't have a choice. But yet, 76 hours, if you did it because you didn't have a choice, is a heck of a wake-up call.
It's a heck of a wake-up call. And I've had other days that, there's been times where it was iffy. You know, I'd go, all day and not get anything and then wind up with some breakfast. And then, it wasn't until breakfast the next day. I've spent a lot of time having to pick which meal of the day I was going to eat. And in retrospect, if I could go back and save the breakfast for supper, I would. It is hard to sleep when you're hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But that 76 hours taught me that you learn. I was walking on food. I didn't know what to eat. There were plants, there were bugs. People were like, man, you'll eat anything. You damn straight I'll eat anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I see somebody every now and then that says they're hungry, but there's something they don't like. And I'm like, you're not really hungry.
It was one of those days I'd had something to eat I'd scored some food the day before around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was 11 o'clock the next day. And I was by a creek and there were some people fishing and they weren't catching anything. They were using bacon. And I was down there and I had a little hand line I was trying to fish with. They said, hey, man, you want this bacon? We were using it for bait. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. I took a piece of that bacon, put it on the hook, and I ate the rest of that bacon raw right there on the spot. I was hungry. You know what? Raw bacon's pretty damn good.
Yep.
And I guess that I used to like crispy bacon. Now I don't. I'll eat crispy bacon, but I'd rather have it, warm it up, break the grease down a little bit, get that fat starting to look. The Dances with Wolves.
Yeah,
every time I watch
remember
that guy put that bacon in his mouth and get shot in the butt with an arrow, my mouth starts watering.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfect. And people do, they freak out. They're like, oh man, I gotta have me some food. I ain't had anything to eat in 6 hours. I'm gonna die. Shut up. But anyway, like ice cream. I hadn't had any ice cream in days. But anyway, she can't hear me.
No, she can't hear. Sarah, Wes said you better bring him some of that ice cream. I don't have to tell you what she said.
I heard. She's kind of greedy. She's getting greedy. Denying an old man his ice cream. That's just sad.
Yeah, that's harsh, isn't it?
Anyhow, see what else? Yeah, I mean, I know a couple people, and I heard this today. You know, they bumped everybody's like food stamps and stuff up
No,
with this COVID crap.
I didn't hear about
And,
that.
the one guy, and I'm not going to spew the name or whatever. I mean, he needs the help, and he's trying, but he's not a fool. He didn't ask for this. They kicked him it's $600. And you know what he's doing with $600 of government grocery money? He's buying bulk foods. He has full blown run right past me in food preps.
Good for him.
Thank you. But he's being smart. I mean,
Yep.
can you imagine somebody saying, here's $600 worth of food to me? I mean, which one of us would not run out and buy cases of canned goods?
You bet. You bet. I'll tell you a neat story about feeding the hungry, I guess, if you want to put it that way. When I first got back here from Colorado, we didn't have much money, and at times were tough, but I was always aware of other people that might be hungry, because that's my big thing. Nobody needs to be hungry. In this country, this day and time, there ain't no reason to be hungry. There's no reason to be hungry.
Oh.
And I worked I don't think you've met him, but the people that ran the local food bank here, I went to them when I got where I was a little bit ahead. I went down there and I said, hey, man, I want to help out. I said, I said, I can, get the 50-pound bags of beans and rice and bring that. And he kind of put me off and, well, we'll let you know and whatever. And finally I pushed him after, a couple of months. I was like, look, I said, let's get some food in this place. He said, don't do that. I said, why not? If there's hungry people, we need to feed them. He said, there's not any hungry people. I said, what are you talking about? I said, I've been by here and see, lots of people here on food bank day. He said, every now and then we do a can drive. He said, when people, he told me when people come in there, there's a prescribed list of food that they get. They had it all figured out. People don't just come in there and load up a bag and walk out. He said, but people come in there and there's things they have to take to get the things that they want to take. And he said, people go in there and they're not really wanting the generic green beans or the generic, canned corn or that kind of stuff. He said, if they take that stuff, if they want that stuff at all, they want the name brand. They don't want the store brand. And he said, they're really looking for other stuff, chips and good snacks and stuff like that. He said, they'll take the generic stuff. He said, but then when we do a food drive later, we wind up getting most of it back. I said, how can that be? He said, because there's really not any hungry people here in town. He said, oh, there's a couple here and there that are glad for what they get. He said, but it is rare. And after having the motel for the last 12 years and wanting to help, being of the same mindset, wanting to help people out, I realized he's right. There are people just trying to live a scavenge life where they don't have to do anything. And there's not very many hungry people.
That's they have the Church of Christ here has I forget what they call it now. It's a food bank, but they call it something else.
Like a pantry or a...
Yeah, and the same people, they have some people that they know that come in and they get the food. It's because they need the food.
Yeah.
And I've seen them. I've done a lot of work at the church or whatever. Dude, they'll load those people up.
Yeah.
But the people that are coming in hoping for the whatever, they don't. They tried doing the little doghouse on a stand thing where you could put food and if somebody needed it, they could go get it. People just going by taking the stuff out and throwing it away.
Yep.
It's just like the people that were coming over here from Louisiana from Katrina. They weren't.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good place to go either.
Boy, I'm going to tell this story. my wife's mom worked for the Red Cross during that, and she was kind of a hurricane specialist anyway. That's what she did. She helped do the planning and the figuring when hurricanes hit and how to deal with all that. Well, when Katrina hit, they live in South Florida, and she got sent to Atlanta. I'm pretty sure it was to help deal with the thing there. And she used to get mad at me for talking about those people and some of their lifestyles, and she would, not have very favorable things to say about my opinions. After she got done with that, she said, "I'm not going to say you're right." She said, "But you're not as far off as I thought you were." She said those people would show up and they would have these big long tables of all the best submarine sandwiches and that kind of food that you could imagine, and bottles of water and Gatorade, good stuff to drink. And those people would come through that line, supposedly displaced and starving and whatever else, and they wanted fried chicken and they wanted pizza. They didn't want good food. They wanted that kind of stuff, and they wanted soda pop or beer. They didn't want Gatorade or Powerade or water. And she said almost as soon as they would get to the end of the table, about half of them would just throw that stuff in the trash right there. I mean, good sub sandwiches, Papa John's and Quiznos and that kind of thing, and they just throw that and everything, bottles of water, 4 bottles of water and sandwiches that hadn't even had a bite taken out of them, and just throw it in the trash. And then they would get their cards, and they would, their money cards, and they'd go get tattoos, and they'd go get electronic stuff. Yeah.
The problem we had here,
Yeah.
a couple of churches did the food lines or whatever, and the people were getting pissed off because they wanted vouchers for McDonald's and Burger King.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's green bean casserole and potato salad and barbecue.
Oh man,
what the hell's wrong with you?
Good food,
right? I mean, it was like a everyday fifth Sunday meal, man.
Yeah.
Like, your
That's
people,
exactly right. And Steve brought up a good point. Somebody asking him why that the people at the stoplights always seem to have cell phones and cigarettes. That's the same. That again, that thing at the motel. They can't pay their room sometimes, and they don't seem to have any food. But by God, they've always got plenty of smokes and drugs and everything else. And it's after a while you realize you're not really helping anybody. You're just enabling them once in a while, and that's why we would suckered every time, because every time we would think, okay, this might be the person that really needs some help. And it's hard to say no if somebody really needs some help.
In 1985, the average income of a panhandler, daily income of a panhandler was $350.
In 1985?
1985.
Wow. Wow.
It's gotten harder now.
Wonder. Oh, yeah.
But hey, Miller Matic, how goes the ARC business? I just love his little thing or whatever, because everybody else is running Lincoln essays, and I'm like, screw you people, we're all going blue. I'll run Miller on everything. Paid half as much for my welder and got paid the same as you did, and I could do twice as much. Man, I could plug a wire welder into mine, dude. Seriously. But I digress.
Yeah, Adam, wasting food is one of the things that I could never work at a restaurant. In fact, if I'm at a restaurant, I try not to look at other tables and the amount of food that they throw out or throw away. When we have church potlucks, I can't look. I can't look in the trash can. I mean, y'all seen some of the videos I do, 9-day-old hamburgers, tuna sub that was left in the pickup for 3 days. I mean, food doesn't go bad hardly ever, and people waste lots of it.
Me and the missus took Rob to a buffet place one time. I'm not doing that again. Remember, it's a buffet, okay? And he's looking at people. He's like, "Are you going to eat that?"
I embarrassed my girls many times. People would leave their table, and I would see it before the bussers got there and go over to that table and take something really good that they left there.
No, he didn't.
I promise. And my girls would just want to crawl under the table so nobody could see them. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. But you don't know that person. I said, I've dated girls and kissed them that I didn't know it. You know?
Yeah,
Just
it's man. I can't stand to go to Golden Corral though. Seriously.
oh, I know it.
I do like watching my grandkids eat pizza though. They just shove that stuff. They eat the crust and everything.
Yeah.
It's Maddie Sue. She's like a little piranha, dude, on pizza. Damn. Trying to figure out how she can still point to stuff. Think she'd bite a finger off like that. But no, and something else. If you people, anybody watching this on the replay, if y'all think that the government or the bureaucrats or FEMA or the utility company or anybody else is coming to save you, I have some oceanfront property just west of me for sale. Yep. It's the cost of solar went down, in my opinion. It didn't actually go down, but in that if I'd had 3 or 4 deep cycle batteries and a couple of solar panels, keeping them charged and stuff, I could have ran, stuff, the important stuff. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into a RV furnace.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
It's, something you can flick a switch and then next thing you know, you're pumping hot air through, it's not going to do the whole house, but you need a bedroom and the kitchen,
And if it'll keep the house at 50 instead of 40 or 60 instead of 45, bonus.
Yeah. And if you can just keep, if I can circulate air in my house, I can keep, we've done it before. I mean, it's been 18 degrees here before. We've kept the house above 60 degrees using nothing but that wood stove. It's work. You got to keep a fire going. You got to keep the fan. I mean, you got to keep it going. But the electricity went out, and when it came back on, it came on in a surge, and it fried our furnace, our doohickey, and so we had to figure out some way to keep the house.
Yep.
And we had electricity back, but we just didn't have any heat. And this was before we were smart. That's why we wound up with all these electric heaters. These were supposed to be just in cases. If anybody's in Texas and you think that the utility companies and stuff have your back, I don't know if y'all noticed that it's going to like charge you what California was willing to pay for the electricity or not. I don't care what California is willing to pay. I want to pay what it costs us to make it here, not what they'll pay for it.
Yep.
If you want to sell them power, that's fine. Build more deals, kick it down the line. Sell them, sell it to New York, sell it to Oklahoma, sell it to Colorado. You know, they say they're all into green energy or whatever. They're not going to care where the juice is coming from. They're humans just like everybody else. Do not triple my electric bill.
Yeah. And by the way, before you go get anything solar, we need to figure out a way for you to meet me, maybe, and we'll go see my friend that has the well business up at Matador. Because he's got pretty good prices on, well, I'll figure it out. I did some work for him here a while back, so I'm going to do some swapping for a couple more panels and a couple of the things I need. Maybe get something set up.
Okay. I'm being very careful about doling this out.
Me too.
Oh, that's not it. I was like putting more in there and I hadn't even drank it all yet.
I like how you're careful that way.
I tossed the first two back and I'm like, okay, you need to slow down, boy.
Hey, that's a good point. Adam just mentioned something here. This is a good thing to talk about. He mentions heating just with wood and no fan and closing the doors off to keep the heat concentrated in a room. Absolutely. That's a great thing to do. And you can even, like, you know what my house looks like, Wes. We have a plan that we can tack up a couple of blankets between the living room and the kitchen, and then back there in the back to kind of hold the heat in one room and make it more livable, more comfortable if we ever had to, you know, and then tack up a couple of blankets over the windows to insulate them so the heat doesn't get out that way.
I actually have a wood stove for the main part of the house. Just haven't put it in yet.
Uh-huh.
That'll be in before next winter.
I'll bet you.
The cost of that through the roof flashing or whatever doesn't seem that extreme anymore. So yeah, it's amazing the way things change.
Mm-hmm.
The downside to isolating yourself off the heat to stay warm is same thing. I mean, you're gonna lose your plumbing. The end.
Yeah. But compare that against that 11-year-old boy. I tell you what, that just breaks my heart that those people couldn't think of something else. You know good and well they had a car sitting out in their driveway that they could have gone up and started and sat in there with the heater going. I got to believe.
Well, I don't know the whole story, but I mean, I don't think it was negligence, but you know, why was he in his own bed? You know, it's been cold here, but when we were at one time, it got cold and stuff, and we had all there was 5 people in one king size bed. Well, 4.5, I was mostly out of the bed. The kids didn't get cold. My butt cheeks were cold. But the 3 important things were inside. They were the inside of the cereal bowl.
Yep.
And
we've camped in cold. We've gone winter camping before. I mean, when Sarah was, I don't even know if she was a year old yet. Let me think. I think she was probably from, huh? She was a baby. Was she a year old yet? Was it like from her birthday to spring break when we did that camp out? Yeah. Her birthday's in September. And us and our friends, that have the kids our age, we went camping up at oh good grief, up by Kitty Quay up there at, whatever that state park is that I just went blank on. Caprock Canyon State Park. And it was beautiful and nice and sunny and good Texas spring weather when we got there. The third night we were there, second or third night, we got 10 inches of snow, and we're camped in a tent. And I mean, it got down into I don't know, about 15 degrees something that night, and we were fine in a tent with a baby that wasn't a year old yet. I don't understand how some things happen. Bye, Wes. Love you, brother. See you next time. I don't know what happened with Wes.
Yeah, I tried to laugh in the middle of trying to drink that whiskey, man.
No. Yeah.
I kind of went up.
I know a lot of people that can't see any value in camping. They don't like it. It's hard. It's miserable. But you know what? You go camping, you learn some skills that you can apply to situations you'd never think of, like a cold spell in the winter and your electricity gets, gone. I mean,
how old was Whitney the first time he slept in the tent? 2 weeks. 2 weeks old. Leland's been camping a while.
Hey, Robert Moore snuck in here. Hi, Robert.
I don't see him, but anyway. Hey, Robert. I am looking forward to it, man. Me and my grandson are going camping. I'm so stoked for that.
Yeah, I've got the camping bug bad right now, man. Whether it's down at Bob Hansler's or up in the Davis Mountains or that little spot you were talking about not far from you.
I need to get over there to that, but I'm sure because that's something else. I was like, well, I can't get to San Antonio. I'll just go over there. At least I'd been close enough to get back home. That would suck. But the biggest thing is, the biggest thing I learned is self-sufficiency is the only way to go. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people hate the whole thing about getting out of the cities while you can or whatever. Dude, ask them people down there in Houston. Ask the people in Austin right now how they feel about living in the city.
You bet.
It sucks to be them. So yeah. We'll try this again. See if I can. No funny.
You're eating all my peanut brittle, huh?
You're peanut brittle. You're eating.
I said, Mom. No, peanut brittle or pecan brittle, not my thing, obviously.
So now she had ice cream and now she's eating the peanut brittle too, or the pecan brittle too?
Yeah. Yeah, we like to stay healthy around here.
Say what, bud? Hey, Mark, how goes it?
Exactly, Tibor. Who's Mark's in here?
Oh, no, he hadn't seen him. Hey, you know what? Hope he didn't freeze to death. Oh, wait. Is this the weekend No, that was the last weekend.
Yeah, Adam mentioned don't keep the heat out of the kitchen. When we were talking about the blankets and all, I guess. He said, broken pipes suck. And that's true. If you're going to do something like that, it's a good idea to turn your water off if it's not already off and let the pipes kind of drain out a little bit. At least let the pressure off of them. If you just open the faucets and let the pressure off your pipes, there's a pretty good chance they won't break when they freeze. Pretty good chance, but not guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just because you have that fancy PEX pipe stuff or whatever doesn't mean it won't bust. It busted under my house. So
Turns out.
It's harder to bust. It busted at Leland and them's house. I'm just saying it can bust. So, I mean, if it gets cold enough and freezes hard enough, it'll bust. I mean, the PEX is made out of the same thing those barrels are made out of. The barrels pop. Man, and granted, they had been out. They're not new, but upside to it, I now have some plastic to work with for my outrigger on my canoe.
Yep, correct you, man. 64. -1 this morning. Well, Robert Moore, it was -1 morning, not this morning, one morning. Well, J.C. Miller, I will tell you, I'm drinking apple juice. Or
see, I like that stuff.
yeah, this is good. With soda. I like to cut mine with club soda.
I actually like to cut
I'm
down
not-
Dr. Pepper, but club soda works.
I've never done it with Dr. Pepper.
You can cut anything with Dr. Pepper. Just
I
about
guess
that vodka. And Dr. Pepper's nasty.
Boy, so is what is it? Tequila and orange? No, wait a minute. What was it? Oh, gin and Coke is nasty. Don't ever do that.
Real man, that was my brother's go-to.
Gin and Coke?
Gin and Coke and either gin and Coke or rum and Coke. And I was like, that's not even the same thing. He's like,
no.
What? But he would also eat dog food when he was drinking.
I
love that, man.
Jack Green is good, JC. Alcohol abuse. I agreed. Yeah, man, I don't do Dr. Pepper with. Okay, a whiskey and Coke is okay. Is a good thing sometimes. It's like anything, but that's not my normal everyday thing.
Ooh, man, you must be from the north.
Yeah, correct, T-Board. Gin. I can't do gin.
I don't know. Robert
even a gin
doesn't like Dr. Pepper and whiskey either. If you notice the name on the screen, that should explain a lot. Spent too much time in Colorado.
Wes changed my name. I had a more attractive name up there originally, but Wes said that was no good.
Here, let me
He cross-graded me or upgraded me or something. I don't know, but I don't care. I wish you Coke, etc. And I wish you crabs. I wish you crabs? I don't know what that means, Ted. I think it might be an insult, but I'm not smart enough to be insulted. Whiskey and ginger ale is good. How do you say his name? Nidavalier.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, NFW. Well, I'll just call him NFW. That's easy. Coffee, sweet tea. Carol, you're probably the smartest one of us. However. Hey, Redneck Prepper, how are you?
I'm spelling it. Won't let me spell that right. There it is.
What the?
I was going to put Robert the Rummy, but I didn't think that was appropriate. So I'm trying to be nicer
7.
on my live streams to people. Like, again, welcome to all the people in the side chat. If it weren't for y'all, this would suck. It would just be me and Rob talking and drinking whiskey and stuff, which is not a
It wouldn't
bad.
be the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, throwing darts.
Usually I'm sitting on the other side of the table though, and I could just steal the ice cream. Which is painful, but it could happen. She'd throw a cat at me or something. And I
Probably.
haven't
We
met
got
her
plenty
new
of 'em.
dog. So she'd probably stick that dog on me. Probably eat my face.
Has it been that long since you've been here?
Robert, life keeps getting in the way of us doing non-important stuff.
I guess it does.
You lost the tic-tac-toe. I hate it when that happens. I constantly kick my butt at that.
Myself.
Hey, Diggers. I do, and I don't want to get everybody's hopes up too high, but I seriously have plans for a compacted earth building on my property. If it gets cold again, guess what? We're going to go stay in it. I've wanted to build one for 4 years now. And I keep telling myself, that's stupid.
Wes, are you going to do rammed earth blocks or just formed tamped earth?
There's several different deals out there that you do. I'm going to have to actually buy sand because I'm lazy and I don't want to go get the blow sand from over there. So I'm going to buy some, I forget the grade of sand, but it's a little bit coarser than you would use for mortar.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be one shovel, or it'll be 1 part sand,
Yeah.
2 parts caliche, and half a part what's it called? The type N cement, and 1/2 part Portland cement.
That's
And
an interesting mix.
it'll be about the consistency of, well, it'd be mud you don't want to walk in,
Right?
because then you don't have to pack it as much. But
Oh, man.
that'll be a wheelbarrow full, and then I shovel that in, put it down. I want to do that on the first probably 4 foot, and then from there up, it will probably just be caliche and sand.
Okay.
With the Portland cement and the type N in it, it'll actually lock it together to where it's a little water resistant. It'll actually turn it into hard pan. Almost turn it into hard pan. If I double the Portland, it will turn it into hard pan.
So, are you going to make it in a form and tamp it, or how are you going to hold it? What are you going to put it in place?
I'll put the forms up there. I'll put the mud in there, pack it into place, and then when that sets, I'll raise the forms, fill it up. It's going to take a long time because you've got to let each one set. If I had 4 or 5 guys, we could probably knock it out in a week. The walls. But we're talking, I'm putting 14 to 16-inch walls. It's gonna be a lot of dirt too. I mean, it's a lot of digging.
It is.
But the thing is, I want to dig a hole. So I dig the hole, use the dirt from the hole to make and it's not going to be that big. I'm probably going to try to keep it around 8 by 12. the inside dimensions, 8x12. And probably going to stop it at about a 7-foot wall. But it'll be 7 foot one side, 8 foot the other side. Yeah. And then I've got to come up with the beams, which if I do it Classico style, I'll run cedar beams across, which the long cedar posts are flipping expensive, man. I will probably wind up just running 3x6 rectangular tubing. I'll run that across that. And then the plan is to screw treated lumber to that, and then felt paper, then corrugated tin, not corrugated, but whatever, the R panel tin, galvalume on top of that, and then put a foot of the sand cement mix on top of that with the cattle panels in it, so it's still reinforced, and then that way I will have glass everywhere. And then after it's all done, it's all getting stucco. And so then I don't have to worry about the rain or the windstorms or none of that crap. Stucco is so easy. You wrap the dang gum thing with chicken wire and you get them big long staples and you drive it into the dirt. You got a shovel with an air hose. You scoop the stuff up in the shovel. You hit the air hose and it sprays on the wall. It's not rocket science.
Dude. The next time you're up here, remind me. I could take you over. I think it'd be okay. 2 miles north of me and a half mile west, there is a guy. This is one of the things I actually used to motivate some of my friends into a more of a preparedness lifestyle. He's a guy that's about my dad's age because he's got a son that is a couple of years younger than me in high school. And when I was a kid, I actually worked for him on his farm a few times. He built more or less an underground small house out of telephone poles and cross ties. It has it banked in. It's north of the feedlot over there. And he's got a spot where his house sits. It has just enough of a slope. He could kind of dig it into that slope. And he built this thing and covered it up with dirt. And he's got a water tank above it that'll feed water into it. And it was one of those things that was kind of a rumor. And then one day he happened to call me. He said, I need a rooster. He said, I got these chickens. He said, and I need a rooster. And I knew he had rabbits and that kind of stuff. And he actually called a friend of mine, Joel. And Joel called me and said, Ledford needs a rooster. I said, have I got a deal for him? So I took him about 3 of them. But while we were there, I said, Ledford, here's the deal. I'll trade you these roosters for a tour of that little underground house you built. And he's like, okay. And we walked over there and looked at that. And it was the coolest thing. I said, Ledford, I said, I've got a heart on here, man. This thing is great. I said, what in the world possessed you to build this? And he turned. And remember, this is several years ago. This is 10 years ago. He turned and looked at me. He said, Robert, he said, this country is $17 million in debt and going fast. He said, it's going to fall apart at some time. And when it does, I want to have a place here that we can hold up when the electricity goes off and bad people come around. He's got like, you know how on the ships back in the 1700s, they had those ports that the doors would open up and lift up and they could run the cannons out and start shooting. He's got 3 of those in 3 different directions that he can open up to shoot out at people when something like that happens. This thing is great. This thing is great. I can show it to you from the outside. You'll love it.
Damn it. And I thought that freaking storm shelter with the cedar ceiling was cool.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
ought to go. We ought to go over there and do an overnight in that, man.
Be easy to do.
It would. I didn't know. Did they have a vent pipe in it still?
I think so.
If it had a vent pipe in it, then we could put a little
Oh, yeah.
down there, and we could like cook our bacon and stuff.
That's a heck of an idea.
It really is. We just got to make sure that whatever it was that had that nest down there is gone, or eat it. Whichever. In the apocalypse, we're gonna be those guys running right out there going, "There's got to be something to shoot." So anyway, oh man,
JC's out of here, not JC.
what's that, babe?
Colorado. I don't know where that is, Tibor.
Colorado Bend State Park. Oh, I so want to go there though, Tibor. Yes, I
Redneck Prepper's out of here too, not Redneck.
Good night, Redneck. No, the Colorado Bend, man, it's down by San Saba ish.
Really?
Yes, it's
I've
really.
I've never heard of it.
It's like a tourist trap. It's a place where you go, you set your tent up, you go down to the river, you put your dark sunglasses on, and you just watch all the college people.
I'm ready.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
You can do kayaking and stuff. It's a really, really slow section of the Colorado River. There's a really pretty, it's like a 4-mile hike or something like that into the falls. It's a cool place to go, and I've been wanting to go there for years now. But life.
Oh yeah, I get it. Adam mentioned something that I started to mention to you a while ago. That reminded me. He talked about using tires as your wall and packing those full of dirt and earth. And that's what Adam, I've actually got for my tank that either you or Ted, whoever it was, mentioned about putting compost around. That is my plan for that water tank I've got right behind the house, is to stack tires around it. You know, you offset them like you lay bricks and pack those full of dirt and such things and drive some rebar to hold them in place. And that would help hold some heat into them and also help keep them from getting shot in case we get to that point of time where bad people come around and take pot shots at you, which is also one of the reasons I buried that tank a little ways. Even if they shoot into the tank, I still got 3 feet down in there, which would work out to around 800 gallons of water that I can still keep in there. And so, yeah, that's absolutely a plan. I've seen people that built houses and earth ships exactly in Watchdog and around Taos. Yep. And Taos and Tres Piedras, exactly.
Once you've got those tires, you're responsible for those tires. You can never.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So, I know a lot of guys that have done the tire thing or whatever, but you can't. There's not really any way to do inside walls. You still gotta fill all the. You got to make it smooth, so you're still packing mud.
Yeah, you fill them full, but on the inside, it's not that hard to just come up there and attach 2x4s to them, and then you can you frame up to them, and then sheetrock over it or plywood over it.
You're losing, and there's not going to be a single board in. The only boards or beams or whatever are going to be in the for the roof, man. That's it. Everything else is going to be
on your place.
Yep. So
okay. Yeah.
There's not going to, when I'm finished the inside walls, that's it. They're they're going to be dirt. And the thing about that is it's dirt, right? So if I take and mix what do you call it, a latex paint, water-based paint, thin it down, and spraying that latex paint on that wall until the wall is soaking wet with paint, and then walk away, then that latex paint will turn that outside layer into a slurry, and it will seal it. And you can go up there and you can take your finger and you could scratch in it. You could mess up your wall, but you don't have to worry about leaning up against it with your
if you pack it down good enough, there are parts of the Great Wall of China that were built simply by building up bamboo frames along the edge of it, and those dudes coming in with, logs about that big around and doing that and packing that earth down. There's parts of that are still in great shape 3,000 years later. So that's a thing too.
My deal with the compacting it is I would have to invest so much money in the lumber and stuff, the framework to withstand the compaction that it negates doing it.
I don't think so. The way I saw it, it looked like they just laid wire across. I got the idea that when they did the Great Wall of China, their frames were only about 3 feet tall, and they would just move them up as they built the wall, and just the wire went across there to hold them in place, and they just tamped it down from that. I think now that makes it sound simple, but I don't know.
It's stout. Think about it. I mean, they had to cut a lot of bamboo.
Probably.
I mean, every time I would have to build the framework, and it would have to withstand, I don't know what, the hydraulic pressure, the sideways hydraulic pressure on that is going to be insane. So it's going to have to be super rigid.
Maybe, I don't know. I got the idea that wasn't the case in the way they did it, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, but if they were packing mud, maybe not. But
it wasn't mud. It was just loose earth that they had sifted out and taken the biodegradable kind of stuff, the stuff that would break down out of.
Just makes me wonder how we're able to keep the bottom together.
Yeah.
Now, I guess if you were doing it dry, it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, like tamping a fence post.
But I don't want to run a tamper that much. I mean, they had a lot of little Chinese slaves.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Now there's a lot of the buildings that they're doing that they use a hydraulic or a pneumatic tamper.
Uh-huh.
But the dirt's damp. It's not wet.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, they got to worry about getting too much moisture in it.
Yeah.
But they got to worry about too much and not enough. And but if they get through packing that stuff, they don't stucco it or anything.
A friend of mine, he bought a place near Durango, Colorado, and had a house built of rammed earth bricks. And they showed up on site and used a lot of the dirt on the building location. And they had it was a hydraulic ram brick maker. It made blocks that were, I'm going to say they were 4 inches thick by 10 or 12 inches long and about 8 inches wide. And I mean, they had a machine that they would pour the dirt in there, and that thing, just that hydraulic ram, would come in there and pack that thing, and then back off, and they drop the blocks out and let them dry because it wasn't wet. It was just barely damp. Yeah, and they made the blocks right there on site and built that, and that was a pretty stinking cool house. And I mean, it held its temperature well.
And
it looked good.
Bricks, believe it or not, there was a surprisingly the amount of moisture in those bricks was actually surprisingly low. We put just enough water in it to where that machine could push it out the other side.
Yeah.
And then the wires would go through it without snapping. And then Matter of fact, the bricks that were coming out of that machine, you could take them and stack them up, something just straight off the deal. You could take them while they were still warm and stack them in whatever shape you wanted them to be in. They would harden there and they would stay there
Yep.
for a long time.
Yep.
That's why the sand is important. You've got to have the aggregate in the. It's actually the sand. If I could get my hands on some good clay, I would actually want to put a little bit of clay into the caliche also.
Sure.
Because it makes it stick together. You yeah, clay here is expensive. I know where I can get it, but well, that guy, he wants to mine it. It's I think he wants $10 a yard. So
Not terrible.
it's not terrible, man. That's a lot of yards, dude. And you can't get in there with equipment. You got to go in there and you got to shovel this stuff up.
Ooh.
When you mine clay, it comes out in boulders.
Uh-huh.
Right? Everybody pictures clay as this really cool powder stuff that you buy at the store. No, it's a freaking rock. You have to bust that rock up and then grind it into powder and then sell it to folks. Everybody's like, "Oh, clay." Clay, when it doesn't have water in it, is a rock. And when it does have water in it, it's a squishy rock.
Yeah.
I know where there's a bunch of clay deposits, but I don't know where there's anywhere you can. Well, I know where there's a one, but didn't that guy get mad if I parked on the highway and started digging into the wall of his property? Narrow-minded bastard. Yeah, I would have told when there's somebody to show up. What are you doing? Nothing.
Well,
There's a hole in between the U.S. Highway 84 and the railroad between here and Post. There's a whole pile of clay out there. It just happens to be natural, and there's still a little bit of hard pen on top of it. If I could get the other side of that barbed wire fence, I could back right up to it.
there's some spots there that are on the highway side of that barbed wire fence. It wouldn't be hard to scrape a little of that loose.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Clay is harsh.
Be a nice, pretty red color too.
Yeah, it would.
I
know there's some gray
am.
stuff.
I'm getting
eyeballs.
indication. Yeah. Hi, Christy Jennings. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Look at Betty Boo show up in here when we're fishing and get off.
Yes,
But-
she sure is. Hi, Baby Boo.
Seriously though, folks, as far as this topic and stuff goes, look at your stuff. See where, I mean, you know where your holes are. And don't be cocky.
Right.
Every difficulty I had with this winter storm, other than, well, yeah, even that, even with the rolling blackout things, all stemmed from me thinking I had a handle on it. Guess what? Look, there's a cat. I didn't have a handle on it. And if I'd have had a handle on it, I would not have had to, we wouldn't have left the house. We'd have stayed here. We'd have chilled out. You know, we'd have fired up the big, diesel generator out back that we got from the Army surplus store. Or a small hospital.
Or you just would have gone out and swept the top off of the solar panels and made sure they weren't covered up with snow where more sun would get, whatever light was there.
If you've got a boom stick and a couple of freedom seeds and stuff, but you don't have solar panels, and you're looking at the gun catalog and not at the solar panel catalog, you're not doing something right.
Yeah. This guy.
Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying that there are really more important things to buy than,
Yeah.
if it's either a hobby or you're actually worried. You need to think through. If it's just a hobby, you're actually worse than condition white.
Yeah. I have been remiss on the solar stuff. I really have.
I have too, and there's no excuse for it. I got to get Biddy gave me one solar deal. I need to get up and get my pig too. She's starting to smoke it. Oh. But anyway, Rob's got to get off here. He told me he couldn't stay on here forever. He has a wife or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And I have told myself that I'm going to quit sitting in front of this camera all the time. So, I will be back Tuesday on Wes S the Real One. It's in a different channel. If you'll check the drop down below this deal, there's a bunch of ways to support my channel, including a t-shirt store where you can buy all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, the other way. The shirt that Rob's wearing, you can get the shirt I'm wearing, the shirt behind me, and that stuff all goes. Some of the money I make, not all of it, some of the money I make off those t-shirts goes to cancer research. I've lost too many people to it, and it tried to steal my son from me. The guy that helps makes these shirts, he's missing a golf ball sized chunk of his brain to cancer. And cancer sucks. So anyway,
that was actually where Wes and I first met. Was at the hospital when his son was there.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Y'all drove down.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Denny's, and he was eating people's leftover bacon.
I probably was. As I recall, Mrs. West had a stack of pancakes with whipped cream and strawberries all over them that was pretty tasty looking.
That woman, she knows how to order pancakes. And I always forget that she knows what to order, and I'll order, and then she'll order, and she'll come out with this thing that looks like a birthday cake, and it's pancakes, and you're just like, I want one of those.
Yeah.
So
I should let Happy Hair order first, and then me get whatever she got, because I'll order something and it's great, but then she ordered something. I was like, hey, I didn't know they made those. I started to say something a second ago.
That's why they give you a menu. You're so funny.
Yeah. Just then I said I started to say something as Happy Hair was walking by, and she said, oh, you were going to say you're about to leave? I was like, yes, that's what I was going to say.
All right. Anyway, people, we I've never seen
I want to try and do a what?
There's a signal strength indicator on up there. That was so cool. I didn't know that was there. Anyway, we were about to drop out. It went away.
Yeah.
I
want to start doing a live stream kind of on a regular basis too, but I never know when. Good grief. I don't know when it's going to be good for people. And my schedule, brother. How predictable is my schedule? Like almost not at all.
Did you hear all that?
I did not.
She said, you the boss of yourself. You want to do a live stream? Just sit down and do the live stream. Can't nobody tell you when to do a live stream. Oh, that's what I heard.
Thank you, Mrs. West.
She said, if you've got a minute and you want to do a live stream, sit down and do the live stream. People
You know,
either watch or they don't.
that's probably exactly right. That's probably exactly right. I got to say, I love when we do a live stream, the interaction with the people in the side chat and some of the things. I've been trying to keep up with this one tonight, but not get us sidetracked. And there's some great stuff going. I think I mentioned earlier, Wes and I did a live stream 2 or 3 nights ago, and we were going to talk about this stuff, and the side chat just devolved the whole thing. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
And I've had really hard time not getting into that chat this time too.
Yeah, I know it.
Supportive.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. People come up with some great ideas and thoughts. It is serious good stuff over there.
Some of the best stuff I've gotten out of live streams has come from the side chat, not the host.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
all right.
For the reels get off here, all you people, y'all stay alive. Do not die.
Absolutely. It's good seeing everybody. I truly appreciate everybody. Truly. Thanks, brother.
See you. Love you, brother.